There is an office called the Comptroller General. Its rulings carry the force of binding law over every dollar the federal government spends. No legislature has ever voted on the rules it creates, and those rules have been accumulating since 1921. You have never heard of this office. The people who write the federal budget answer to it, and there is no mechanism on earth to undo what it has already decided. The Comptroller General heads an agency called the Government Accountability Office, the GAO. Most people think of it as a watchdog, a reporting body, something that issues studies Congress ignores. That is not what it is. The Comptroller General issues legal decisions called advance decisions that tell every federal agency what they are allowed to spend money on and what they are not. These decisions are binding on the executive branch. They are not suggestions. They are not guidance. They are the law of federal spending, except no one in Congress drafted them. No president signed them. A single official appointed once and serving 15 years writes fiscal law, and agencies must obey it. This authority came from one statute, the Budget and Accounting Act of 1921, signed by Warren Harding. It handed the Comptroller General an open-ended mandate: audit how the government spends money and issue opinions on whether that spending is legal. What Congress did not prevent was that those opinions would become precedent. One decision in 1924 built on the last. Another in 1941 built on that. Today, the body of fiscal law is over a century deep. The necessary expense doctrine, the foundational rule that determines whether any federal agency can spend money on anything not explicitly authorized by Congress, was not written by Congress. It was assembled, ruling, by Comptrollers General whose names you will never read in a civics textbook. No vote, no statute, no public comment period, just accumulated decisions that now govern trillions of dollars. Here is where it becomes structural. The Comptroller General serves a 15-year non-renewable term, and the President cannot remove them. That is not an oversight. That is a design feature written directly into 31 U.S.C. 703. The only path to removal is a joint resolution of Congress or impeachment. In 1986, Bosher v. Sinar, the Supreme Court ruled explicitly that the Comptroller General is a legislative officer, not an executive one. The President, who controls the entire administrative state, has zero authority over the official who decides whether that administrative state is spending its money legally. Remember, no one voted for this arrangement. Now think about what that means in practice. A federal agency, the Department of Energy, the VA, any of them, decides it needs to spend money on a new program, not specifically authorized in its appropriations bill, but related to its mission. The agency's lawyers say yes. The Inspector General says nothing. But if the Comptroller General's office has previously ruled that spending of this type is not a necessary expense, the agency cannot spend the money. Not because a court ordered it. Not because Congress prohibited it. Because a decades-old GAO decision controls. And if the agency spends the money anyway, the Comptroller General can refer the matter to the Department of Justice and have the expenditure clawed back. There are career federal officials today who know exactly which spending categories the GAO will flag and which it will not. That knowledge is not published anywhere. It lives in the decisions, hundreds of them. Stacked in archives most Americans do not know exist. And here is the part that should actually worry you: none of this is illegal. It is operating exactly as designed. Congress could theoretically pass a law stripping the Comptroller General's authority. It has not done so in 105 years. Ask yourself why. The GAO audits Congress. Its function covers congressional agencies, congressional programs, congressional spending. The committee chairs who would write legislation to limit the GAO are the same members whose districts depend on GAO-approved federal contracts. The political cost of dismantling the watchdog exceeds the cost of living under its rules, so the rules stay. Each new Comptroller General inherits every ruling the last one issued and adds new ones. The structure is self-reinforcing. The design is older than most living Americans. What this tells you about every other institution is this: the visible layer of government, the laws Congress passes, the regulations agencies publish, the budgets presidents submit, is not the whole system. Underneath it is a layer of accumulated precedent, issued by bodies with lifetime or near-lifetime tenure, that constrains what the visible layer can actually do. The Comptroller General's decisions are one version of this. They are not the only one. Every major agency has an Inspector General whose findings override leadership. Every federal circuit has binding precedent no legislature created. The government you can see is operating inside a cage built from decisions you cannot vote on, issued by officials you cannot remove, written in language most citizens will never read. The Comptroller General's seat has been vacant before, for months at a time. The decisions kept running, the precedents kept binding, nobody turned them off, which leaves one question worth sitting with. If the rules still operate when no one is in the chair, who exactly is running this?